Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Angel and I am in charge of Intermediate 3B Morning Shift, and we're gonna continue talking about the passive voice tense. We have already covered the present simple tense, the simple past tense, the present perfect simple tense, and to finish this topic, we are about to check the future simple. In this case, will or want in the passive voice. Okay, so stay here on the video and let's get started. We are going to continue with passive voice. Now this time, this is going to be our last topic, and we need to check passive voice in the future simple, or as some people call it, will. Okay, so let's get started. All right, guys. So basically, when you want to use will in the passive voice, it is basically to talk about things or specific actions that will be done by someone in the future. Let's say like some kind of predictions. You don't really know if they are going to happen, but you use the future tense will in the passive to make those predictions, or well, to talk about the future. Okay, now before we start checking all the rules and exam and more deep explanation, let me show you here just some ideas. Okay, again, we are going to have two kind of tenses, the active and the passive form, and let's start checking the examples. Okay, now the first one, here you have the active idea that says we will take the horses to the stable. Okay, here you have this idea, and as you can see here, you have the word will followed by a verb. Now in this case, if you notice, the verb is going to be in a base form, no change is required or something like that. Okay, so that is my idea. Future, pretty simple idea, easy to understand. But what happens when you want to talk about the passive? Now in this case, one more time, the horses will be taken to the stable. That is a prediction that will happen in the future, but who is going to do this activity? I don't know, maybe us, maybe some other people, we don't know. But in this case, the horses will be taken to the stable. Now if you pay attention, one more time, we keep the same idea, okay? Horses, in this case, in the first idea, they are the object, they are the thing that received the effects of the action. What action will take? Who is doing, or who will do the activity? We. But if you pay attention into the passive form, the horses become the first part of my sentence, the most important part of my idea. Then you have will be taken, and finally to the stable. But in this case, we don't have a by. By who? By who? I don't know. That's a mystery. Let's continue. Active. Will the manager sign the contract tomorrow? Will the manager sign the contract tomorrow? Here, the focus of attention, or the most important in the idea, is the manager. Will the manager do this activity, signing the contracts tomorrow? I don't know, it's a prediction, maybe yes, maybe not. What happens if you want to make the same idea but into the passive? Now in this case you have, will the contract be signed by the manager tomorrow? Now if you see, the focus of the attention change. In this case, the contract is the most important thing. Now in this case, by the manager, maybe yes, because maybe he will be the only person who can do that activity. But if you have another person who can do the activity, maybe the manager is not important, and you can say, will the contract be signed tomorrow? Maybe yes, maybe no, we don't know. Active. The boss won't give me the job. Imagine that you went to a job interview, and you were there talking to the boss, etc., but you were really nervous, and then you leave the office and you say, no, I was very nervous, I couldn't understand anything, maybe the boss won't give me the job. That happens in the active. But in the passive, maybe you say, no, I won't be given the job. And in this case, by the boss is in brackets, because maybe the boss is not the person who can give you the job. Maybe some other person is in charge of that thing. So maybe you can just forget about the boss, and maybe you say, no, I was really nervous, I won't be given the job. okay? That happens when you have this active and passive idea, okay? And one more time, keep the same idea that we use will or the future in passive when you want to talk about something that will be done by someone in the future. In the future, maybe in 1 year, maybe tomorrow, maybe in 2 days, maybe in 20 years. We don't know. One more time. Time is not important. What's important is what will be done in the future. Okay? So let's continue, shall we? Now, one more time. You are going to have once again active and passive ideas. They are really important when you want to talk about passive voice. Active and passive, they are there all the time. Whenever you want to talk about passive, you have those ideas, okay? Pay attention to the first idea. We have the birds will eat those cookies. And again, we need to identify three parts of the tense. One more time, the birds is my first idea. And, or as I call him, is the doer, the person who does the activity, okay? Next one, will eat, that is my verb, in future, will eat. And finally, you need to use a what? The object, those cookies, okay? So one more time, object, the birds will eat those cookies, okay? Pretty basic idea in future, not difficult to understand. Once again, do you remember the process that I told you? All the drawings with the arrows and all the pointers? Once again, those cookies goes at the beginning, and now this time cookies becomes what? The subject or the important piece of information in my sentence. What will happen to the cookies? Those cookies will what? Will be eaten. Okay, will be eaten by whom? Now in this case, maybe it could be by the birds, it could be by someone else, but if you want to say no, the birds is important for me, okay, leave it there. Now here, pay attention. In this case, we are going to be using will all the time. To talk about the future, we are going to use will, or in the negative form, want, okay? That is the first thing that you need to keep in mind. And here, the verb to be, if you remember, in present simple, it was am, is, are. In simple past, it was and were. In present perfect, it was has been or have been. In future, we are just going to use the auxiliar be. No more, no less. Plus a verb in what? Verb in past participle. As you can see on the example, will, my future, be, my auxiliary, and eaten, my verb in past participle. Okay? Keep those changes in mind, guys. And here, as I was explaining you one more time, how can I change the sentences from active into passive? If it is really difficult for you to understand the changes in the passive, I strongly recommend you to memorize this thing. Learn it by memory. Study, study, study. If you memorize this formula, these drawings with the arrows and etc., I can assure you guys that it will be very, very, very easy for you to understand. The simple future, or as people call it, the simple future, or will. For the active ideas, one more time, we need the subject. I, you, will, they, he, she, it. In this case, you don't have first person, second person, or third person. They are all the same, okay? The subject, and plus, you need will or want to talk about the future, okay? Will or want. Next, you need a verb. Now, in this case, what kind of verb? Well, in the active idea, you need a verb in the base form. That means no changes. The verb in simple form. And finally, the object. What happens when you want to change an idea from active into passive? As you remember, the object, when you talk about the passive, becomes the subject. you need will or want to express a future idea, a future meaning. After that, you need the auxiliary what? Be, no other, no been, no was were, no are is am, nothing, only be. And finally, you need a verb, but in this case, in what form? In the past participle form. Finally, you need to include by if you want to talk about the subject, or in this case, remember that it is not the object, but it becomes the what? It becomes the agent. Take a look at the example. He will finish the homework. Pretty basic idea. In future, okay, we have he will finish. That's a future idea. He will finish the homework. Now, subject, he will finish is the action or the verb, and who receives the who receives the effects of the activity? Of course, the homework. He will finish the homework. And in the passive, we have the homework, the changes, if you remember, will be finished. The homework will be finished. If you consider that he is important, well, maybe you can say by him. But if not, put it into brackets. And that it doesn't make any change, okay? Or it doesn't make any difference if you want to include by him or not. Remember that all these times that we use the passive, sometimes in the passive voice, what really matters is what or the action that is done and the product that comes from the actions. For example, here he will take the horses. Horses in this case is the product. Sign the contract is the product. Won't give me the job is the product. Maybe not the person or not the subjects. Okay. So one more time here, in order for you to have a clear idea about the changes of the passive voice in future, here you have a chart. One more time explaining. As I told you at the beginning, you need a specific auxiliary verb. It could be will be for positive ideas. But if you don't want to express a positive idea, we also have want, will or want, and plus you need the auxiliary what? Be. Okay? The auxiliary be. No more, no less. First person, second person, third person, no, forget about them. They do not exist in the future. Okay? And pay attention, in the first idea we have she will write a poem. And in the passive, you have a poem will be written, maybe by her. She will not write a poem. A poem will not be written by her. Pay attention. You see, will, be, we have future, auxiliary, and written. A verb in what? In the past participle. Okay. Will she write a poem? Will a poem be written by her? You will receive the letter. The letter will be received by you. Imagine that a future version of you comes from the future, and he says, in 2 months, you will be given the love of your life, and you wait for a special person, etc. And it turns out that it doesn't exist. Pretty sad, but yes. Or imagine that a future version of yourself comes from the future and he says, hey, for your birthday, you will be given a new phone, the most expensive iPhone, and it doesn't come true. That's sad, but yes, that is an example. You will be given a phone for your birthday. You will be presented an important job. You will be given lots of money, etc., etc. You see, to talk about the future, they will arrange the money. The money will be arranged by them. Maybe I don't know. You have a lot of examples. But here, maybe for example, they will arrange the money. The money will be arranged maybe by them. If it is not necessary, maybe you can say the money will be arranged. The letter will be received by you, or maybe by your brother, by your sister, by your friend. Will a poem be written by I don't know, by the writer, by a new person or whoever? She will not write a poem. A poem will not be written by her, by I don't know. A poem will not be written today. A poem will not be written in 2 years, etc., etc. Okay. So once again, guys, if you understood the present simple passive, the past simple passive, the present perfect passive, I can tell you guys that future won't be a problem for you guys. So one more time, keep in mind that we use it to talk about something that will be done by someone in the future. Remember that we use will or want. We need an auxiliary verb, and in this case be, followed by a verb in past participle, and basically that is it, guys. I insist, take a picture of this diagram, take a picture of this. If you memorize all of this, if you memorize all this process, all of this, passive voice will be a piece of cake for you. I promise. You won't be suffering because of it. So thank you very much, guys, one more time for watching the video. One more time, it is time for you to test your knowledge again. After you finish this video, or after you finish watching this video, go to Google Classroom and do the quizzes. Let's see how you do it. Do all the tasks that you have there. And if you still have some problems, well, leave your comments down below, or let me know on my personal email. You know that I can answer all the questions that you have. Okay, it was a real pleasure to be working with you, especially with this topic, the passive voice. I hope you really understood the topic. Okay, if not, let me know on the comment section. So that was all for today. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good night, or have a good morning if you're watching this video in the morning. And once again, stay home, stay safe, and I'll see you around. Bye.